Have you ever used a cleanser or a moisturizer and thought, am I doing this right? If so, this is the place for you today, because today we are talking skincare fundamentals. And what are skincare fundamentals? They are the essential daily parts of your skin routine that every single person should be doing and doing in the right way to maintain the health and beauty of their skin. So hello there, I'm Dr. Ray. If we have not met, I am a board certified dermatologist. I've been doing this for 15 years. I love talking about skin, and in my prior videos I have talked about all kinds of things from tightening devices to glass skin and retinoids and retinol and all things. And I have not yet covered the very, very basic things that I have realized that not everybody knows how to do, and that's okay because not everybody took Skincare 101 in school, right? But I am here to educate you on why the fundamentals are so important and how to get them right for your skin. So what are the skincare fundamentals? They are the 3 essential steps of your routine that you want to do on a daily basis. And these are number 1, cleanse, number 2, hydrate, and number 3, protect. Okay, so that may seem very, very simple and very straightforward, and trust me, it is not, because I cannot tell you how often I see people either in my clinic or in my programs that I have, my digital programs, that are just missing the mark a bit. And no judgment, no shame anywhere there, because I don't think everybody should be born knowing how to cleanse and moisturize their skin, right? This requires some education. And so that's what I'm here to do. So first, why is this stuff even important? Why are we even here talking about it? The reason is that when you do a proper daily routine, you are setting the foundation, number 1, for all the other things that you are doing for your skin health and beauty, whether that is the retinol you're using, the hyaluronic acid serum, any other anti-aging products you're doing, your healthy lifestyle that you are following to maintain your internal health, which of course is going to reflect in your skin health, your anti-inflammatory diet, you know, all the plants and the fruits and the veggies that you're eating, that has those high quality proteins, that even the professional treatments you do, all of that is going to have so much more impact when you have laid a solid foundation. Think of it as building a house on a strong, solid foundation. That is what happens when you care for your skin on a daily basis in the right way for your skin type. Okay, so let's get into that. So I'm going to go over in this video cleansers and moisturizers and how to do those. And then in a separate video, because it's kind of a big topic and I don't want to rush it here, we're going to talk about sunscreen and proper sun protection, because again, it sounds so simple, right? And there are just a lot of kind of common pitfalls, common mistakes I see, and I bet you're making at least one of them. Again, no judgment, no shame, totally okay. We'll just talk about how to do it better. Okay, so what about cleansers? The type of cleanser you use is going to be very dependent on your skin type. Okay, so drier skin types, and I put dry and sensitive skin types in the same category because they kind of behave similarly. They respond better to the same types of products, the same cleansers and moisturizers. Sensitive skin does tend to be on the drier side. That's not always the case. You can have oily skin and sensitive skin at the same time, of course, but I would say if we're looking at kind of like the vast majority of people with sensitive skin, a lot of them also have dry skin. Okay, so if you're in that category for cleansers, you are going to use a creamier, more hydrating, less foaming, less lathering type of cleanser. You're also going to want to pair that with a heavier, creamier, more oil-based, meaning there's more oil than water, and typically that's going to be called a cream moisturizer. Okay, so that is going to replenish those lipids in your skin that your skin is like really, really desperately trying to hold on to. So what is that going to do? That is going to hydrate your skin, of course. And when that happens, what happens? The light bounces off better, there are less dry patches, there's less irritation, the skin is calmer, it's better able to absorb the other products that you're putting on, whatever that may be, your retinoids, your vitamin C, your hyaluronic. Speaking of hyaluronic, let me touch on that really quickly. Do you need to use a hyaluronic acid serum? This is a hot topic of debate. I would say for most skin types, you don't necessarily need to. If you have drier skin, it might actually be helpful as kind of an added layer of hydration. Hyaluronic acid is a humectant. It draws water in from the air, pulls it into your skin. There is a myth going around that hyaluronic acid is dehydrating to dry skin. It's just not true. You are welcome to use hyaluronic acid. What I would do is apply it before your regular cream-based moisturizer, okay? So you would cleanse your skin, pat dry while your skin's still slightly damp, put on that serum, and then follow up with your regular moisturizer. So again, when you lay a good solid foundation, everything else just works better, your skin looks better, it looks healthier, and that's what we want. Okay, what if you have oily skin? So if you're an oilier skin person, you are then gonna use more likely a foaming, a gel-based, more lathering type of cleanser, especially if you have very oily skin, like a lot of excess oil is building up over time, over the day, then yeah, a more lathering cleanser is going to help get rid of that excess oil a bit better than a creamier cleanser. And kind of on the same note, you are going to also use a light lotion-based moisturizer, gel-based moisturizer, something like that. That's not going to have you looking like an oil slick at the end of the day, right? Okay. And if you have more normal or combination skin, combination meaning you have some dry areas, some oily areas, the drier areas tend to be on the cheeks typically, and then the oilier areas tend to be more like T-zone, forehead, nose, chin, because that's the part of our face that has the most oil glands naturally. Or just normal skin, meaning it's not on the dry side, it's not on the oily side, it's somewhere in between. It doesn't really feel tight and dry and flaky, but it's not like shiny either. It's just somewhere in between, right? So I put those in the same category also because they kind of tend to use the same types of products in terms of what works well for them. And actually normal and combination skin can be a little bit more flexible in terms of what you're using. You can use more products for like the oilier skin types or for the drier skin types. And it kind of depends on where you lie in that spectrum, okay? One thing I will say, if you have combination skin and you do have dry skin in some patches, like your cheeks, for example, are dry, I would err on the side of using a more hydrating cleanser and moisturizer rather than use an oily skin one and then dry out those drier areas even more. Just err on the side of hydrating more rather than less. So this begs the question, what should I use? What actual product? What brand? What specific product? And the answer to that really is that it's not so simple, and that's actually a big reason why I don't give product recommendations necessarily for the most part on this channel or on any of my platforms, because it is a personalized thing. You're gonna get the most out of your skincare when you're using the right thing for your particular skin in combination with the other products you're using. So one thing I wanna mention here is I gave you those general guidelines, right? But things might change. We wanna make sure that your products are working well with the other products you're using, right? So for example, if you're someone with skin that's a bit oily, and you're also using a fairly strong retinoid and an exfoliant, then in order to keep your skin calm and healthy and happy and hydrated and the barrier functioning nicely and well, you might actually need to use a more hydrating cleanser and a thicker moisturizer, because those other things do dehydrate your skin a bit, they do dry it out a bit. And so, you know, you might have to counteract that even though your baseline is a little bit oily, okay? So the last thing I want to do is throw more product recommendations at you, right? I think you've probably, if you're watching this video online, I'm sure you have seen other dermatologists or influencers with tons of recommendations for you, and I just don't want to add to that skincare overwhelm or that overload of information, right? Because I don't think it's going to serve you. I think what is going to serve you best is to start with these general guidelines, and then if you feel like you need more personalized recommendations, then you get that from an expert, meaning a dermatologist. Okay, so now I want to get into some common pitfalls or mistakes that I see quite often. The first is using a non-facial cleanser for your face. By that I mean a body soap or a body wash or even a shampoo. Sometimes I see people, often men, sometimes women, but often men, using shampoo as their face wash. So let's talk about why that's not the best idea. One of the major reasons for that is that your skin functions best at a certain pH. It is slightly acidic in nature. And those cleansers, whether it's a body soap or shampoo, tend to be more alkaline, so they can throw off the pH balance of the skin. And what can that do? It can alter the microbiome of your skin, meaning your normal, natural microbes, your bacteria, your yeast, etc., that lives on your skin. So it can alter the health of that microbiome, and that can lead to microinflammation. It can lead to breakouts and dryness, irritability, sensitivity of the skin. Okay, so we want your skin functioning at its ideal pH, and facial cleansers really are most of the time formulated in that way to keep the skin at a more acidic balance. Okay, so that's one. And then two is a lot of times the body cleansers or the shampoos, they contain harsh surfactants, because think of it, the skin on the body, unless you have severely dry skin or eczema, something like that, the skin on the body definitely is more resilient. It can handle those surfactants a bit better, those soaps, those cleansers, but the face is a more sensitive, more delicate area, and so it really does not tend to handle those surfactants very well. So maybe you're saying, okay, but Dr. Ray, I've used this soap on my face for 20 years and it's done fine for me. What's the big deal? And by the way, I use a washcloth and I like scrub everything off, right? So what's the big deal? It's been fine. Okay, and it might just be fine. Yeah, you might be fine. It's very possible. However, I would say that if you really want to know that you're doing the best for your skin, that it's functioning at its maximum capacity, that there's not kind of underlying things going on that you maybe aren't quite aware of now, but that will show later on in life, like, again, more sensitivity of the skin, excessive dryness. Maybe you're already experiencing those things, but you didn't really relate it to the soap or the washcloth, etc. So if that's the case, I would say definitely try switching up your routine. Go for a gentle facial cleanser, see how much that benefits your skin. So that takes me back to the washcloth. I want to talk about that for a minute. I think very normal to use a washcloth on your face. You probably use one on your body in the shower, so it's normal and natural to use one on your face as well. I would say a washcloth is never ever necessary on your face if you're using a proper cleanser for your skin. Okay, so washcloths can be overly abrasive, exfoliating action that we don't want to have. This physical exfoliation that washcloths can achieve, which some people use it for that purpose, like they're literally scrubbing their face with their washcloth, and that is really the last thing we want to do, because that is just way too harsh for your delicate facial skin. It dries you out, it causes micro tears in the skin that lets other pathogens in more easily, and it's just not something you need to do. So if you're using a proper cleanser, then you don't need a washcloth. Okay, so I will get back to proper cleansing in a moment, because I want to talk about double cleansing. You're probably wondering about that by now, right? Double cleansing can be useful, and it really makes washcloths really unnecessary, even more unnecessary. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, another common pitfall I see is people with oily skin thinking that they don't need to use a moisturizer. Okay, so why is that not true? First thing is that when you're cleansing your skin, your cleanser is not distinguishing between your makeup, your sunscreen, and all the things, right? It is removing everything, including some of your natural oils, and your skin needs those natural oils. It uses those oils to stay hydrated, of course, but also to maintain the barrier function of your skin. Those oils, those lipids help keep things out, those bad things like pathogens, microbes, bacteria, etc., toxins, etc., impurities, pollution, and keep the good things in, like hydration and moisture. Okay, so we want to replenish those immediately once we cleanse our skin. Even if it's just a light moisturizer, I do recommend you use one. Try it at least once a day, whether it's morning or night, doesn't quite matter. Try it at least once a day, a light, maybe a matte moisturizer, see how you feel, and then you can kind of work it up from there. And I will say also, sometimes when you're overdoing it with your skin in terms of trying to get all that oil off, cleansing and foaming and exfoliating, not using a moisturizer, your skin reacts by producing more and more and more oil. And what can happen actually is if you switch up your approach and go more gentle and do hydrate your skin with just a light moisturizer, then you might actually find you're less oily, believe it or not. So give it a try. And if you do that, I would love to hear how it went. Let me know in the comments. And then one last common mistake I want to talk about is overdoing it in terms of exfoliating your skin. Okay, we have talked so much about exfoliation online. It's all over social media, like all the cleansers, the serums, the masks, the glycolic acid, the lactic, the mandelic, all the things, the fruit enzymes, all of the above. It can seem like, oh, I need to exfoliate my skin. Like, let me go buy some exfoliators. And by the way, I'm also using retinol because I want to get that collagen effect. So I'm using it all, right? And what can happen? Very, very easily, you can overdo it for your skin. And what does that mean? That means that you're dehydrating your skin. It is overly dry. There are dry patches. There's more sensitivity. There's more reactivity. Maybe your moisturizer stings when you put it on, for example. Maybe your skin's even breaking out a little bit because you're throwing off your healthy skin microbiome balance, and that's throwing things off, and a lot of bad things can come about from this. Okay, so what I would say when we're talking about exfoliation, less is more. start low and slow. If you are using multiple exfoliating ingredients at once, really be cautious. Start with one. Remember that retinoids like retinol, etc., retinaldehyde, are exfoliating at their core. They do exfoliate the skin, so consider that an exfoliator, okay? So if you're using a retinol already, what I would do is first optimize that. Make sure you're at least able to tolerate it every night without getting too much irritation and dryness before you then add in an acid exfoliant. And if you're using your retinol, retinoid, etc. every night, you're doing fine, skin feels good, but you're still feeling a little bit like roughness or bumpiness, your pores are a bit clogged, you want a little bit of extra exfoliation, sure, then you can work in very slowly, one acid at a time, I would say. If you're on the more drier or sensitive side, you definitely want to go with a milder acid, and milder would be something like lactic acid, mandelic acid. Even milder than that is polyhydroxy acids or PHAs. So go for that first, start it maybe once a week, and then very gradually, you can work it up from there. Twice a week, maybe 3 times a week eventually, okay? So low and slow is really the key. Do not over exfoliate. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people coming in with damaged skin because they're overdoing it, because they want to get rid of that bumpiness, that texture change, the clogged pores, etc., right? Totally understandable, but we have to go about it in a way that doesn't make our skin mad. Okay, so that's what I would say. And then lastly, let me hit on double cleansers and why do we even double cleanse? I can actually make a separate video for this. We can get into more detail if you want, but I do want to touch on it here because it's important. Not everybody needs to double cleanse, okay? I think when we see these things online, we think we need to do it too, right? Not everybody needs to double cleanse. Double cleansing definitely has its place, which is in somebody who wears makeup, maybe that's you, and or sunscreen, like especially if it's a thicker or a heavier sunscreen or you're reapplying your sunscreen. And actually, I hope that is you because that is what is healthy for your skin. Actually, we'll talk about that in the next video on sunscreen. But yeah, if you are doing those things or on the days that you're doing those things, then yes, a double cleanse can be very, very helpful in helping get some of that extra stuff off that is just hard to get off with regular cleansers sometimes, right? But you definitely don't need to double cleanse if you're just like at home all day, you're not wearing sunscreen, you're not putting makeup on, and you definitely don't need to double cleanse. And you definitely don't need to double cleanse in the morning, okay? Cleansing every single night is essential. Double cleansing sometimes if you need it. Cleansing in the morning for most people is optional. A good rinse with water would be fine. If you're gonna double cleanse, only do it in the evening and only when you need it to take that extra step to get some of that extra gunk and stuff off. Okay, so I'm gonna make a separate video on double cleansing because I really wanna get into the details there so you can really do it the right way. But for now, I just wanna wrap it up by saying that when you get those skincare fundamentals down right for your skin, this is how your skin should feel. Calm, it's not reactive, your moisturizer isn't stinging, sunscreen doesn't sting, it's well hydrated, which means they're not dry patches, you don't have little areas of shiny skin and dry, dull skin, and you might even have a bit of a glow, especially if you're doing some gentle exfoliating. Your skin should really look healthy and your skin should feel good, right? It should feel comfortable, and that is going to tell you that you are in a good place with the foundation of your skin. And it actually is really important to set that calm, happy foundation before you work in things like actives, etc. Hopefully that has helped, and if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. And like I said, I will follow up with a video on sunscreen, talk about why do we use it, how to use it, what are you looking for in a sunscreen, what's going to be ideal, and all the things. And then I'll put another separate video as well on double cleansing if that's of interest. So go ahead and subscribe if you have not already so you don't miss any of that. And this is a new channel. I would super duper appreciate if you're watching that you subscribe and like this video so that YouTube will show it to more people. That's it for now. I hope you have a wonderful day and I'll see you later.